What's going on, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Indie Watch. My name is Kevin Ryan. I've got a really special show for you guys today. This is a title that I'm very, very much excited about that only just popped onto my radar last night. We're talking like 12 hours ago. Now, I know recently public perception of Kickstarter has been muddied. We're not going to name names. But I still think the platform of Kickstarter, crowdfunding in general, is still a useful tool with which to make possible a game that otherwise would not have been possible. I still think it's worth it to invest in a title that you believe in and to provide your support, while understanding that your investment could go nowhere. With all that said, I do believe, however, that today's game is going to go somewhere. And I'm excited to share it to you. Very excited to share it with you. So, with all that said, let's get into it. Hailed as one of gaming's most influential titles, Team Ico's Shadow of the Colossus treated gamers to an experience unlike any other. As the quiet protagonist Wander, players were sent on an adventure through a vast and lonely landscape in search of 16 colossi, whose deaths would serve to restore the soul of Wander's beloved Mono. Despite only having a handful of lines of dialogue, the game conveyed powerful emotion through a soaring orchestral score and meticulously crafted character animation. It all served to illustrate an evolving narrative that made us question the relationship between Wander and the Colossi, and whose soul was truly at stake. As a result, Shadow of the Colossus stands today as one of the finest examples of art within this medium, both in aesthetic presentation and narrative perspective. It's been 11 years since Shadow of the Colossus originally launched. Now, No Matter Studios, a three-man development team based out of San Francisco, hopes to recapture what made Team Ico's classic so special, whilst including their own ideas in their debut title, Pray for the Gods. Pray for the Gods puts the player in the shoes of an as-of-yet unnamed heroine whom is sent to the edge of the world to investigate the cause of a perpetual season of cold. Winter isn't just coming, it's here, and it presents the player with life or death even before their first encounter with the game's colossal giants or roaming spirits. Pray for the Gods does have survival mechanics. I know, survival is an automatic turnoff for some of you at this point. But it appears that No Matter Studios is operating in favor of a more streamlined system, rather than anything super in-depth. At the end of the day, though, there are meters that need to be monitored: hunger, warmth, and fatigue. While trekking out in the world, you'll be able to hunt for food with your bow and arrow, salvage weapons and outfits off fallen heroes, and take shelter in nearby caves or disheveled structures to protect yourself from exposure. That last bit is important, as the weather can turn at any moment. One second, it'll be absolutely serene. The next, you'll barely be able to see 2 feet in front of you through a thick blizzard. Taking shelter from the outside initiates a sort of rest phase, in which the player is presented with various activities that they can perform before going to sleep. You'll start by making a fire out of scavenged wood, at which point you can then cook and eat the meat you've obtained from hunting. There hasn't been any kind of crafting shown, but No Matter has said that weapons can break, so it's unclear if we'll be able to repair them or if we'll simply find replacements out in the world. On the surface, I'm quite fine with this style of gameplay, as it adds an extra element of immersion to what is quite frankly a beautiful-looking snowy environment. However, too much coddling of base needs can take away from the joy of exploration, which was an issue that we happy few ran into when it first launched on Steam Early Access back in late July. The search for the game's giants won't be nearly as fun if you're running for cover every 10 minutes, So here's to hoping that a solid balance is struck. So, how do you navigate the world? You can sprint, jump, climb, dodge roll, basically anything you'd need to be able to do when fighting giants multiple stories tall. If you get lost, you can actually retrace your footprints in the snow, which is a nice touch of detail. Now, whether or not your footprints can be covered up in the middle of a blizzard remains to be seen. But by far, my favorite tool in the player's arsenal is a lovely item ripped straight out of Zelda.
I don't know what I got! Ooh! What is that? It's a grappling hook! Grapple away! Yeah!
We've only seen footage of outdoor environments, but No Matter says we'll be exploring mysterious temples containing various secrets and loot, which I imagine will help break up the wilderness survival gameplay, assuming those elements don't follow you inside the temple. It appears as there will be a lot to discover in the world of Pray for the Gods as you seek out the game's 5 main bosses. The order in which you tackle them is completely up to you, as the world is completely non-linear, and No Matter is touting multiple ways you can approach the fights. Will you choose to engage with a stealth attack, or throw yourself in head first? Most interesting is the statement that you'll even be able to use your bare hands. If you can't poke a giant in the eye, I'll be disappointed.
For me, it's a game I've always wanted to make. A lot of the projects that we've been working on were for other people, and this needed to be really for us and push ourselves as far as we could. It's not just some sort of like a linear progressive story-based game. It's something where you are kind of creating the story as you go through it based on the decisions and the consequences that you have. So in the end, you're left with kind of the world that you created yourself because of how you chose to play it.
One of the most memorable aspects of Shadow of the Colossus was the game's orchestral score, composed by Ko Otani. Now, Ian Dorsch hopes to bring Pray for the Gods to life with his compositions, and based on what can be heard in the game's trailer, I'm personally sold on him doing just that. In my mind, his work thus far is right there with some of what I find to be the best orchestrations in gaming, such as Austin Wintory for Journey and Abzu, Oscar Arajo for Castlevania Lords of Shadow, and Gareth Coker for Ori and the Blind Forest. Pray for the Gods basks in the shadow of the Colossus that came before it, but it appears to be on the right path towards retaining the elements that made its spiritual forebear so endearing, and emerging with some new ideas of its own that will make it stand out. Keep your eye on this one while it marches towards its projected holiday 2017 release. Alright, so that was just a quick look at Pray for the Gods, an upcoming title from No Matter Studios. I'm very, very excited for this game, and you should be too. If you enjoyed the video, please, I encourage you to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you do wish. I'm going to try to get a new episode of Indie Watch out once a week, every Wednesday. That is my goal, so stick around if you want more coverage on upcoming indie games. There will be a link in the description to all of the footage that I used in this video. That includes Polygon's playthrough of the pre-alpha, Jacksepticeye playthrough of the pre-alpha, and there will also be a link in the description to Ian Dorsch's SoundCloud page, where you can listen to some of his previous work, as well as you should. Very much. It's good stuff this guy has composed. With all that said, my name is Kevin Ryan. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time on Indie Watch. Take it easy.